All right, Nick, let's talk about the Florida Gators head coach, Billy Napier, back and better than ever. He led this Florida Gators team to a strong finish, which I think quelled any questions about his coaching status. Was he on the hot seat? Was he not on the hot seat? I don't think that is any longer the case. In fact, I think people have more trust in this team than they ever had before, and that's evident by the story we have today. But before we get into that, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. And Nick, as I alluded to, people have a lot of trust in this Florida team after the performance Billy Napier put on at the end of the season. I think especially with DJ Lagway at the helm of the quarterback position, it's an exciting team to be behind. Let's get into the article and talk about just how exciting and how excited people are for this new Florida team. This from over on Gator Sports. It says, Florida coach Billy Napier gave Gator Nation signs of hope by leading UF to a 4-game win streak to close the 2024 season. As a result, the Florida Gators are starting to open their checkbooks, talking about the fans, after 2 unnamed Florida football boosters pledged $500,000 each to the Florida's Victorious Collective for the NIL funding. It took less than a week for a grassroots campaign to match those funds, resulting in $2 million boost towards UF's NIL efforts. They said, we're right around $500,000 in the first day. Florida Victoria's Chief Revenue Officer Eric Reasoner said, it's probably the biggest surge that we have had. The momentum around the program, everybody jumped aboard. I think this is huge for the Gators, showing that they have trust in this team once again. This is a team heading in the right direction, and everything's turning up aces for head coach Billy Napier and co. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick, but before we get to you, Florida fans, in the comment section below, what are your thoughts about everything Billy Napier has done the last few games of the season? Do you think that's enough? Are you inspired by this team now? Do you think DJ Lagway and Billy Napier are the future for Florida? Or are you still skeptical? Give it a grade on your confidence in this team right now. Is it an A? Are you going to go out and donate another $500,000 to this team? Is it a C? Are you just, so? We'll see what happens. Or is it an F? You think it's a waste of time? And if so, let us know why in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything Florida?
So this is a very impressive move here by Billy Napier. And look, this is a Florida Gators football team that's had a really solid offseason. They're top 10 in recruiting according to 24/7 Sports, building a lot of momentum after a strong finish to the regular season last year. But the reality is, as we talk about all the time on this channel, college football is basically becoming like the NFL, where you have to manage a transfer portal and NIL dollars to build your roster with basically modern day free agency in college football on top of recruiting. And I've made that analogy, I know we talked about a lot, is that college coaches are now basically having to act like NFL head coaches with the volatility and all the churn. And you have to treat guys coming in with free agents and things like that. You don't get 3-4 years to build your program. But college coaches actually have another responsibility, and this report kind of highlights it. They're a lot like startup executives. They're like Silicon Valley executives, founder CEOs, where they have to go out and literally raise money or inspire people to give money. This is something I hadn't thought about before I saw this story. If you're not a coach that can go out and sell, not just to recruits, not just to coaches to get on your staff, but you have to sell to donors to give money to NIL collectives, that's a new world we live in right now. Because if you don't have that NIL money, it becomes a lot harder to win in the transfer portal. And I think that's something that's very interesting that we're seeing from Billy Napier, that people are starting to unload dollars. That means Billy Napier is doing an incredible sales job. We know he's a good recruiter, evidenced by the results so far and what we've seen over the past couple of years. The trend is certainly Napier's friend right now. But the fact that he's also a good salesman to the money man, the guys putting their money on the line, the guys writing checks to this Gators NIL collective, is a great sign. Because I think we're not too far removed. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's just the reality of modern college football, where no matter how good of a coach you are, X's and O's wise, no matter how good of a recruiter, if you don't have NIL dollars, you will be bled dry. Right? It doesn't matter if you have a great sales pitch to a kid. If the other school offers them $1 million and you got 20 grand, you're done, obviously. Having the ability to get the people to write checks to donate to your collective will be a valuable trait. It shows long-term stability, the ability to sell your vision to a guy who's very wealthy. Wealthy people aren't wealthy because they're stupid. Wealthy people are wealthy because they understand return on investment. That means all these guys writing these checks to the NIL collective believe Napier is going to bring that return. This is probably the best sign yet that we've seen this offseason, that Florida continues to trend in the right direction. I think it's undeniable right now that the Gators have a lot of momentum behind them.
Yeah, Nick, and you look at what this team has done, what Billy Napier's done to finish the season. I've said it a million times, really impressive. What he's done recruiting as well is also really impressive, but there's some aspects that I think are really interesting as the effects of it as well. Top 10 in recruiting for this Florida team. I think they poured a lot of resources into it, but they didn't necessarily have everything they needed, and that's why I love that people are now pouring resources back into this team. Because you look at their transfer rank, 94th in transfer ranking. They haven't had the dollars to throw at the transfers yet. There's only 3 transfers in this Florida team so far this season. So I think this is going to be the test here. He had enough to go one way or the other. He went one way, went the recruiting way, knocked out of the park, top 10 recruiting class. That's fantastic. They had a strong end of the season. It looks like a really strong team. Now people are like, hey, let's pour more money into this team. Let's give them the dollars they need to go out and get some big time transfer portal guys. I think Billy Napier's doing a really great job. It's like you said, the people who are shelling out the dollars, they're smart. They need to see results. They need to see, proof that their investment is going to do well. I think we've seen it through what he's done through recruiting, through what he's done at the end of the season in the bowl game. And now I think those dollars are going to come in and help him be able to now focus on the other side of things, the transfer portal. Like you said, you need the dollars for the transfer portal nowadays, whether you like it or not. I think the Florida Gators are starting to get it, so I'd watch out. I think some big things are going to be happening in the future for the Gators.